Good day, good morning, good evening, commanders. This is part 2 of my Urban Frontlines analysis. In this video, I'll show you how to win on the worst side of Urban Frontlines and how to reliably beat those meta airborne divs. Yesterday, we analyzed the better side. Now on to the worst one. So, today we're analyzing the worst side of Urban Frontlines. Now, yesterday, in the previous video, we talked about why red side here. This is our blue. This is the blue side, the worst one, and this is red. Um, we talked about how red side is better, and we said that they're better because they get these high rises. They get to like here. They get this high rise. In general, they can play a lot more comfortably, and they play nicely over here as well. And so they're pretty much comfortable the entire game because they get these like lots and lots of these high rises that just um area denial basically, and they can stack grenade launchers, machine guns, infantry in these high rises, or even AA, and then you cannot use any of your helicopters. Imagine if they put man pads here or what or wherever, and like whatever helicopter that you bring up as red here just insta dies to any of these man pads or grenade launchers, and then whatever infantry fight you take for these high rises, or if you put an infantry unit here, he's just gonna AGL you the entire game. Or ATGMs, and when you try to play with your tanks over here, you're gonna get sniped from everywhere. So this is why red side here is at the advantage, and we have to win this from a worse position. So how do we do it? Last video we talked about how, as red, the play for middle is this area next to it. That's what we said last time, and this is true. And it sort of applies for blue side here, but not entirely. See, I do love to play right here, but you have to win it early, and that's not where absolutely all of the play is. Like yesterday, we said that the flanks are very important and that both players want to target them. The thing is that we practically get to India, or at least in my opinion, taking India as blue here is a lot easier than taking Alpha as red. Although it is, to be fair, it is nearly the same. It's just easier in my opinion as blue. So the idea here as blue is to be the one attacking both India and attacking your own zone. It doesn't make that much sense to attack your own zone. You'd think like, oh, I just want to sit and defend it. No, 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 no. We're not gonna let our opponent breathe, because if they do, they're gonna stalemate and secure the entire position down, and then what are you gonna do? Because like you're not gonna be able to play with tanks here. You're just not. There's no play for you whatsoever. If you try to take a fight, if you try to take a 40-minute fight on Charlie, you're not going to win it. Unless your opponent's making some very, very big mistakes and you start killing off his ATGMs and stuff, or like whatever mistakes are being made by the opponent, then you can live. But like if your opponent does not make a single mistake and secures Charlie the way it's supposed to be secured, you're not breaking through Charlie. You're just not. Like there is physically no way. You cannot smoke high rises, which means there's no mortar play. You cannot. You just cannot. There is no way. So we need to focus on the flanks, and we need to take them, and we need to go around, and we need to basically lessen the garrison, our enemy's garrison of Charlie. So the enemy is gonna stack Charlie, probably, right? They're gonna stack Charlie, and we need to make it so that they divert resources to the problems that they have on their flanks, right? And then when Charlie is cleared up, like from the enemy's garrison, that's when you attack Charlie. And then you go everywhere basically. That's how you want to do it. So the idea is, like I say, in all of my ranked games, I start with recon helicopters. At least two on this map, I start with three. Because you have a recon helicopter here going to spot India. You have one going here to spot for all of this. and then you have one going to Charlie to spot if your enemy is stacking Charlie. If you know that your enemy is stacking Charlie with a recon helicopter that you started with, you know exactly how to counter him. You go around, you go to hotel, you take Foxtrot, you make problems in his back line with lurking fire support, IFVs, or whatever, and he has to divert resources. He also has to divert micro and attention to that, and that's when you break through Charlie. So, idea. You go to India with an FD unit, you back it up with recon fire support or any kind of fire support. India should be taken. People do not really stack India that heavy. If you see with your recon helicopter that they're stacking it really heavily, alright, fall back a bit, take the left position, take this far left position, and rotate to here and go for hotel. Because if they're stacking India very, very heavy, all right, we'll go around. There's no need to, you know, there's no need to fight for India that long. If you can't get it immediately, don't go for it. Unless, of course, you want to still keep some play. For example, if you pull back, like I said here, to these positions, you're gonna still have the option to attack India at any moment of the game. Let's say things you foresee that things will go bad in Charlie, so you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna lose Charlie, but I'm on the point advantage, for example. So I'm gonna go take India so that when my enemy takes Charlie, when I take India, it's gonna be no one's gonna be ticking, and then I'm gonna play on time. That's how you want to play it. So you still have some play for India if they do stack it heavily, but realistically, no one stacks India heavily. Like, who stacks India heavily? I don't, and I don't. Like 99% of my opponents on Urban Frontlines don't stack India heavily. So one FD and some fire support is enough to take India and then move to hotel, of course. Secure all of this and then move to hotel. That's the way you want to play it. So 5 minutes have passed. I expected of you to take India. India's been taken. 5 minutes. You're also gonna go up to the far left and you're gonna seize all of this space. And then you're gonna seize all of this space. And then you're gonna go to hotel. That's what I want you to do in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game. That's one side of the front. This is in the first 10 minutes. At max. Like, if you cannot do this in 10 minutes, we have a problem. Because, like, you need to do this quick. Otherwise, you're going to get a 40-minute game, and then we're going to have some big problems. I like 40-minute games on Urban Frontlines. They're very, very. If you're facing a division that scales beautifully on Urban Frontlines, let's say Ninth Panzer, imagine how Ninth Panzer plays a 40-minute game on Urban Frontlines. Granted, Ninth Panzer doesn't have the best opener for Urban Frontlines, but if Ninth Panzer manages to stay alive in the opener and middle game of Urban Frontlines, in the late game they're gonna kick ass. I'm sorry, but there's just no, like, Ninth Panzer will win every game on every 40-minute game on Urban Frontlines if they're facing like a mechanized division. If they're facing an airborne, they can still win. They just need to survive and then scale and snowball correctly and deal with the ATGMs. That's all you need to do. So you need to take this max 10 minutes. I usually end up taking this in 3 minutes, to be honest. I usually seize all of the space in 3 minutes. Around 3 to 4 minutes, yeah. And then I keep going. The trick is just to never stop. Whenever you think it's enough, no, it's not enough. Obviously, that doesn't apply to absolutely everything, because I don't want you to send a 2A4C all the way to enemy spawn and then die with it because an enemy bomber came in and you don't have any AA over here. So, obviously, it doesn't apply to every unit, but like to your cheap lurking units that you can afford to send out, send them out. Like, if anything, what's the worst that could happen? Okay, they die, but it's like 50 points. Like, who cares? It died. All right, so what? So if you have an opportunity, take it, lurk. Um, but yeah, does not apply to everything, because like you don't want to send out tanks to enemy spawn that have absolutely zero like AA reinforcement or infrastructure for them, and then they die insta to like one bomber that the enemy buys. So don't do that. We've taken this side of India, we've taken this, and now we're moving on to hotel. Realistically, if your enemy has stacked Charlie, you should be able to take hotel, zero problems. Spread out, seize the space, and now this is the first part of the operation, let's say. The idea is to completely encircle our enemy in Charlie. Our enemy is in Charlie, right? Our first step is to take the left from them. Second step, or well, you should be doing these things simultaneously. You should be taking the left and the right simultaneously, and also stacking the middle. Let's take a look at our plan of action on the right. On the right, I usually like to have any type of autocannon go around far and then come back here because like sometimes enemy stacks like cubs here or any type of AA or anything you can pick off or any transport that's coming to reinforce. Absolutely anything that you can pick off, it's worth it. Like having an autocannon just go down this road. Obviously don't peek it out completely unless it's worth it, but you know, try to keep it alive and try to get as much of your like money and from like try to get as much from it as possible. So we said that an autocannon going around just to sneak, lurk, and get some kills. All right, we have an FD unit going to here, justified with a recon helicopter. If you can make it up further, go further. Seize all the space you can. Recon helicopter, remember that. We have fire support, recon fire support, absolutely anything. Here, following up with the FD that's pushing up as well, justifying the FD pushing up. I expect of you to take this in the first 2 or 3 minutes. Of course, if they stacked it heavily, alright, pull back a bit, let this guy lurk, and we'll fall back from this position, we'll take the left, and then we'll rotate, you know, to Charlie, hold Charlie, and hold this as well. And go around, and then take Charlie as well. Go around like this. So who cares? Who cares if they're playing like this? Who cares? Like just go around them. Because like if they're playing, look, watch. If they're playing like this, if you attack them like this, and like this, their line crumbles. Like there's nothing you can do, and you're holding this, of course. So that's the plan of action. Of course, seize this forward position, recon helicopter justifying it, fire support behind, try to take this. Once you end up taking it, I like to send out another lurker. I like to have another detachment of a lurker. If you cannot afford it, if you cannot afford to send one out, then keep what you have here of when it comes to fire support and FD and push Foxtrot. The idea to take Foxtrot, to take Hotel, and attack like this. That's the idea. That's the entire idea. And your enemy, and obviously, if your enemy is stacked, like really, really stacked here, and you cannot afford to do this kind of attack, then just keep ignoring him. Alright, you've taken Foxtrot, you've taken Hotel. Let's go for Golf. Like, what's stopping us? Just go for Golf. And your reinforcement roads are always alive. You have multiple reinforcement roads. Here they are. Wait, I'll mark them in yellow. There you go. Obviously, take this high rise. Please, like, please take this. We'll cover that later. That's like the middle play. So we said what to take on the left. We said what to take on the right. Now middle play basically. It's basically all for this high rise. You really want this high rise. You really want to get it, and you really want to hold the rest of Charlie. That's the idea. But you get the point. The idea is to take these flanks, go around, ignore your enemy who is stacking Charlie, and then slowly start outnumbering them because they cannot get reinforcements to Charlie unless they break through what you have here on Golf. And you're always gonna outnumber them in Golf because that's your like entire army is there. And you also have constant reinforcement roads, so it's not like you are the one behind enemy lines, but you have reinforcement roads. Whereas your enemy is encircled and he doesn't have reinforcement roads. There's nothing he can do. So, middle play. How you want to fight things on Charlie. You want, again, to fight for this. Like we said in the last video, this is very, very important. If you do not take this, getting to Hotel and then pushing Golf later is really, really hard. Because then you don't have this nor this road. if your enemy controls these high rises, it's really, really like it's damn near impossible to get the Gulf. And later pushing on Charlie is also going to be really hard. So you need to take the high rises early, and basically you have a force. Let's say you have a force here, then you have a force here. Force 1 is designated to go to India, seize all of this space, go to hotel, and then link up with force 2 that's trying to take these high rises. And a two-pronged attack on the high rises here will always work. Well, always. If you play well, it will work. And if there's any ATGMs, feel free to bring out air. Feel free to bring out air. Don't be afraid to bring out air. Even what I do in some games, even if I know that there's like millions of cubs here, and I will for sure die, or they don't have to be cubs, they can be Strellas or Iglas or Osas or absolutely anything. Even if I know that the enemy has absolutely stacked AA, and there's no way I'm coming out of that air mission alive, if I deem it if I deem the kill here important enough, I will still sacrifice a bomber or any type of cast. I will still sacrifice in order to take these high rises so that later you can push on to Gulf. Because sometimes getting the better trade is not the idea. Sometimes you want your ground forces, you want to clear the path for your ground forces so that you can exploit the ground, basically. That's where like a lot of people don't understand and suffer, because people are not ready sometimes to suicide their bombers when they actually really need to suicide them. Even if it means not having that bomber for the rest of the game, it dies. Okay, so what? But you've broken through. The idea is to break through. If something here is stopping you from breaking through, bomb the shit out of it. Bomb it, kill it, and then move. Continue moving. Get the Gulf. Link up with Task Force 3 that's trying to go to the right side, getting Foxtrot, and link up at Gulf. That's the way you want to play this. And then there's also obviously a fourth detachment of units that's trying to just hold Charlie. It's basically a holdout mission for like this fourth detachment, waiting on the first, second, and third to do their missions and get behind the enemy and completely encircle them in Charlie. That's the idea. That's how you want to play this. Alright, so let's go over the deployment for taking this and holding this, and that's basically the idea of Urban Frontlines. So I would have an FD unit either going to here or to here, and then backed up with any type of fire support or recon fire support, obviously here as well. You can spread out, kind of. If there's anything in this high rise, you can bomb it. If it's stopping you, again, if it's stopping you from going forward, from advancing, bomb it. Alright, if you die with your bomber, so what? Sometimes the trades are not that important. Obviously, trades over time. I'm not saying lose every trade in the game, because that's gonna lose you the game. If you have like a KD of 0.2, hard chance you're gonna win that game. To be honest, hard chance. But if you have if you deem it important enough, go for it. Alright, you die, so what? We'll keep moving, we'll encircle our enemy, and we'll make up for our loss in terms of, like, points with our very good and comfortable position. That's how we're gonna make up for it. Because for the enemy to kick you out of your very good and comfortable position, they're gonna suffer a lot more casualties than you suffered to get that position in the first place. Because, like, let's say you throw a bomber, like, what, 265 points? Alright, 265 points. But because your position is going to be so good and so comfortable, your opponent is going to spend at least like 500 or 1000 points trying to kick you out of here. And then, as you can see, 500 points spent versus the 265, 500 is a lot more. So that's basically the idea. Like we said, FD, FD, fire support, justify pushing up your FD, take the high rise, keep going, fire support lurking, fire support going, linking up with the first attachment, like we said, that's taking these two zones, link up, and then have another one take this zone, and then attack everywhere, and then keep going. If your enemy is stacked too much here, and you deem it a waste of time to turn back and deal with it, then ignore it. Keep ignoring it. If your enemy is stacked really that much points, that much ATGMs, that much infantry in, and you deem it unnecessary losses to turn around and kill it off, keep ignoring it and then just keep going forward. Go for golf. Take the back zone, stay there, and then deal with the middle later. Eventually, you will deal with the middle, right? You'll bomb it out basically. You can bomb it out because if it's in circle, there's no AA. So you'll bomb it out eventually. You'll kill it with helicopters, air, fire support, anything. Like get creative. So there's literally no threat to you here if these guys are encircled. Basically, that's how you want to play the worst side of Urban Frontlines. You want to make it so that the game is doesn't turn into a 40-minute one because they're really hard on the worst side. You want to blitz the flanks, take encircle Charlie, like in the last video, like on the better side. The better side basically has that same idea. It's just that they play a bit more center focused, whereas the worst side wants to definitely be more flank focused. If you remember last video on the red side, we said that the red side definitely does want to go for alpha and definitely does want to go for echo, but red side plays a lot more here than they do on these sides. Whereas the blue one definitely wants to play a bit more on the sides and but obviously still play here. You still want to play here, but you want to play a bit more on the sides than as the red side. That's the idea here on the worst side of Urban Frontlines. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, check out part 1 of my Urban Frontlines video, where I analyze the better side and how you want to use your map advantage to win. Until next time, Commander.